It's the 10th of March 2020. After the weekend, we had a big pullback in Bitcoin prices, and while I didn't go long here and get nailed on it, I also didn't get short, so I'm kind of pouting about that. Now we've come down to what is a potential 1, 2, 3, and I'm mapping it out as we go. So let's now zoom out to the long-term charts and start through our process. Here on the weekly RSI, I have been for a long time watching for this trend line to move forward through the bull market. At the same time, I've been looking at the log view and doing the long-term trend line all the way along here, anticipating we would come back and test it. Even though I was anticipating that we would come back and retest this trend line, I was still looking for the bullish bounces all the way along here instead of being prepared for a top formation and going short. So to map that potential out now, we would be able to see things breaking off and breaking lower, yet the RSI on the daily time frame still has a lot of room to go down to deeper RSI oversold levels. We can go down quite a bit deeper on this yet before it gets terrible. And the daily 60-20 exponential moving average has just crossed over. I really have to see something stronger on the smaller time frames that's going to pull this around, at least go sideways for a long time. Now as I zoom into the 12-hour time frame, I'm looking for a bullish divergence. It's a little bit more bullish there on this RSI setup. I'm looking for a break of this downtrend line in the RSI. We had a little bit of it here. And now the pullback and retest is good so long as we are able to build structure underneath this and get back up above these levels. So until we're above 8.6, I'm still watching for now the touch to the upside and at a breakdown to the lower side, and that deep RSI oversold on the daily that we don't see yet. On the 4-hour time frame, we've got lower lows. This is deeper lower lows, so this could be a bullish divergence here. And if I invert this, what do I see here in this chart? Well, in this time frame, my eye sees that we've come back to this support or this resistance, this level, and that it's really bent strong. It seems like it would give us a strong movement this other way, and that is a quick bounce up from here, according to this 4-hour time frame. So this reversal might be something. Let's dig in closer to see how this is mapping out. In the 1-hour time frame, we see it's really moved strongly. One thing I like to see in the 1-hour time frame here is how we broke that trend line and we got quite a bit more bullish setup here on that pullback. That really gave a more bullish feel to it. Let's see if we break this trend line now and we're coming back down. That would continue the bearish move. Now we're looking at the weekly on balance volume, and on the weekly candle it is just starting out, but this is giving us a reversal here on this candle, on the weekly candle. We don't have strong volume yet, and this volume was pretty heavy selling. That was pretty heavy, not as deep as some of these other ones though. So again, if that is an indicator, it is showing that there's less selling on that dump than in the prior dumps. Let's zoom in now to see how this is playing out. Pretty strong dumping on both of these legs down here. So it's not given a big bullish divergence in the dumping there that I wanted to see. In the 4-hour time frame, yeah, we can see more verification of that. And as it paused here and came up and consolidated, we came from negative selling up to positive selling, and right across this tip, that positive selling eased off. So when we came up and did the breakout, it wasn't on strong positive volume, and as soon as it flipped to negative, that was the confirmation of the sell right there. And I wasn't really prepared, and I didn't put out a signal on that, so I'm kind of pouting. But now we've come back to a bottom formation that this second leg down has much less dumping on it, less power. Let's zoom in on the time frame on this. The 1-hour time frame, we can see this dumping, heaviest dumping here, less dumping here, less dumping here. So if we are turning around, this is helping show that the volume is changing and the amount of dumping has been really reduced on this leg down. That is something I like to see. On the 15-minute time frame, if I zoom back so we can see how this went. The dumping started off right away. We can see the change in this buying, less buying, less buying. So all the way across that flat top, we saw less and less buying. Then it shifted to negative right there. Boom, sell, put your stop loss just below your entry, sit and wait. Boom, another one, another one, another one. It never came back up to retest this. It was panic and selling all weekend while the futures market was closed. A lot of people got hosed when that future market opened. Now we got some buying volume. We got a strong swath, but this was pretty heavy selling. On the bigger time frames, we could see that it wasn't as deep as this overall. And now that we have gone back to positive buying out of these 1, 2, 3s, I am appreciating this setup. The weekly MACD has crossed negative. We see a red histogram here. That is a crossover to the negative. We've got a cross to the negative, a deeper cross to the negative. If we don't get that flipping back positive here right away and hold these levels, that is very bearish in the long term for everything. Zoom into the daily time frame. We're still parallel arms down. I was anticipating that the daily MACD indicator would oscillate on our way up, but I was anticipating that it would remain on a bullish stance and not cross right down to the negative below zero. So while we were operating in this area and the MACD indicator was below zero, this was a pretty key indicator when I zoom into this time frame that I should not have been looking for a bullish turnaround at this. Actually, what I was anticipating was that it would pull back to this region here and then stage to go higher, and that would have allowed us to cross to the positive and all would have been well. But we slipped down quite a bit further, and now we are staging with a whole new setup from this area. Let's see, because it hasn't crossed yet. Let's go to the 12-hour time frame. Still negative, but I do like that we could have a bullish divergence set up in this. If we get some strength and this builds up above these areas, it will give the time for this to be crossing to the positive as we're going up above these levels. Those would be nice confirmations, and I would really be banking on that. Let's zoom into the 4-hour time frame to see that it's just crossing over now as we're making this tiny little 1, 2, 3 after the pullback. So if we are looking for the dip and we are seeing this build out now after when to buy the dip, this is really setting itself up on the shorter time frames in a number of ways here. When we go into the 1 hour, we've got the nice bullish divergence here. I like that setup, and that we are going to a positive histogram again as we're building up above that. All bodes well so long as it maintains. That is great stuff. 15-minute time frame should also verify it. What I'm seeing here is the higher stages of the MACD. Now let's jump into the Ichimoku Cloud. We can see that the cloud is slowly trending a little ways upward. The blue has crossed above the red, but we've just come through the green cloud. On the weekly view, we could go sideways like this, and it would, that's what the Ichimoku Cloud would do. If we are going sideways, we could go above and below all the way along. That doesn't say much of anything because we're so close to the cloud. Now, the daily has crossed to the negative and has come back below the cloud. We've got a twist to the negative, but when I move this back and I look at this downtrending red cloud, on the way down, the cloud twisted slightly positive. Here we are on the way up, and the cloud is twisted slightly negative. Let's see if this is just a quick move opposite the trend, and that the trend is actually really going to be taking off these levels. So if that is the case, we should start to see closer time frame changes in the Ichimoku Cloud. And this is the first of it for me. On the 12-hour view, we can see that the blue and the red line are almost crossing over. That is a key indicator all the way along. Generally, when the 1, 2, 3 top formation occurs and in the trend. So we can see it crosses over and then it crosses back positive. So now it's crossed negative. If it crosses back positive, that's the continuation of the uptrend. We'll see how this plays out overall. And let's zoom in on this now to the 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour time frame is still bearish. We did the sell signal off of the Ichimoku Cloud as it consolidated here. I was anticipating that it was going to go up. We had the green cloud. We had the trailing indicator was crossing through almost everything. We were almost out of the cloud. It was really looking bullish from those indicators. And down, down, down it went. So Ichimoku Cloud isn't the total answer. Or maybe I'm playing the Ichimoku Cloud improperly, because when it's coming up to the top of the cloud, it's a test point. Coming into the cloud, it's a test point. Anytime it's touching the cloud, it's a test point that could be a reversal. Note for me. Now, anyway, in the 1 hour time frame, we zoom in and we can see this is crossing almost negative. We have the cross to the positive. Now we have a cross almost to the negative. And that would be a sell signal in the downtrend. So breaks below these levels and the blue crossing back below the red and pushing it definitely increases the bearishness. We are at a key level here. How about any other time frame? The 15-minute now is going sideways, and you can see it's going above the green cloud, below the green cloud, just as we can in the daily and the weekly. If prices go sideways long enough, it'll get so that this is a less useful indicator. Now I want to go into the Bollinger Bands. On the weekly Bollinger Bands throughout history, anytime we are below this midline, it is a bearish piece of time all the way along here. But we do occasionally poke above the cloud or below that midline before the trend changes. So here we've poked above it and then went back down below. Here we poked above it, then went back down below. And then after that, as soon as this bull trend started, we pretty much stayed right above it all the way along until the top hit and we were down into the bear market. Now we've come up and poked above it and come back down below. And so that is a bearish tint to the whole reading. When I go into the daily view, it's come down to what could be a mean reversion area. Anytime it goes in between that second and third standard deviation and then comes back out above that second standard deviation, that is a potential mean reversion. So to see it on the daily right there, I want to go in and see that we have a potential on the 12-hour at the same time. And it's really key to me that we go in and we see that it was a potential mean reversion for the 4-hour. All 3 time frames at the same time is pretty rare, actually. And then we get into the 1 hour time frame. We can see our 1, 2, 3 bottoms shaping up, and this is testing and breaking out positive. So to see those mean reversions, look at that. This is the 1 hour, right down to the 1 hour, also being a mean reversion at the second and third standard deviation. I like it. This is a really great, powerful signal. I like this bottom a lot as I'm seeing this set up here. And now let's finish by taking a look at Bitcoin dominance. I've been using this chart for a long time, where I've been looking at the 12-hour view of Bitcoin dominance. And every time we cross on this 12-hour time frame, it is a little bit of a bull market for the altcoins, at least a little bit, until that 12-hour EMA crosses again. So we had the 12-hour EMA crossed, but it has not crossed on this one to show us that the bull market might potentially be over. I'm really liking this chart because we have the nested 1, 2, 3 pattern here into a 1, 2, well, kind of a 1, 2, 3 pattern there. It's not very clean. It's sort of a double top, or a 3, 2, 1 actually, but that it occurred right underneath this 1, 2, 3 pattern is really important. Now we have another 1, 2, 3 setting up here, 1, 2, 3, that if dominance breaks below these levels, I think that altcoins are really going to be starting on the trend really strongly right now. Another chart that I want to take a look at is Bitcoin dominance. It's a different view of Bitcoin dominance. You can see that we had some big spikes down, which would be really bullish for the alts. When I zoom out to the 4-hour time frame, we can see this was more of a strong double top than the other data, really close. Here's a cleaner 1, 2, 3 top formation in September. Then in December, January, we had the other top formation, and we had a really good run of alts through this period. Now we've come back, and as Bitcoin prices are unfolding, I want to pay attention to what is the change with Bitcoin dominance. Because through this period of time, Bitcoin went up, Bitcoin dominance dropped. As Bitcoin dropped, Bitcoin dominance was rising. And now Bitcoin dominance rose as Bitcoin dropped. It's dropping as Bitcoin rises. But we haven't finished the 1, 2, 3 here yet. And occasionally the Bitcoin dominance and Bitcoin relationship inverts, where as Bitcoin prices are going up, Bitcoin dominance is going up. Now we have Bitcoin prices going up and Bitcoin dominance going down. So if that relationship remains stable, then as Bitcoin prices regain and start to build strength, Bitcoin dominance should be dropping and the altcoins should be mooning as this happens. Right now, when we dig into Bitcoin dominance and we split that data out, just like a prism would take a beam of white light and split it into all of its colors, we take all of the data on Binance and we split it out into more specifics about which coins should you be looking at, which ones are making the bottom formations and almost coming forward now, which ones are hovering just below the bottom formations but haven't broken out of the 1, 2, 3s yet. And so as we go from day to day, we'll map out which ones are changing into alert status so that we are getting into the strongest coins most, and we are starting to add on to many of those coins. And now to end, let's take a look at Bitcoin prices breaking out of this 1, 2, 3. It's a beautiful springboard pattern setup taking off right now. It's in our pro alerts that we have been signaled on this, so I hope we have a few guys taking advantage of this. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks again for tuning in. Talk to you on Discord. Bye for now.